You're lying in bed, eyes closed. Your body has stopped moving. The room is dark, and then something happens. Something you do every single night of your life. Something you've never really thought about. You go somewhere. The obvious explanation: the brain rests, processes information, resets. That's what teachers say. That's what articles on the internet say. It sounds reasonable. It sounds boring, but it isn't. The real answer is about where all the gods came from, all the religions, all the paintings on cave walls. And it doesn't begin with a human, it begins with a rat in a maze. In 2001, Kenway Louie and Matthew Wilson from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology run an experiment that changes everything neuroscience thought it knew about dreams. They implant electrodes into the hippocampus of rats, the region of the brain responsible for memory and navigation. 40 electrodes simultaneously. Then they send the rats through a maze and record exactly how the neurons fire during movement. Then the rats fall asleep, and the neurons fire again, the same ones in the same sequence. With 96% accuracy, the rats are running the maze in their sleep, not metaphorically, literally. The brain replays every turn, every step, every junction. Louis and Wilson can look at the neural recording of a sleeping rat and say, here it turned left, here it stopped at the wall. Rats dream. But here is where it gets truly strange. Matthew Walker from the University of California, Berkeley has been studying sleep for 20 years. In 2017, he publishes data covering hundreds of species. His conclusion: all mammals dream, all birds. Reptiles, probably. Octopuses, almost certainly. REM sleep, the phase in which dreams occur, appeared evolutionarily at least 450 million years ago. That means the first creature that ever had a dream lived before the dinosaurs. Before flowers, before trees as we understand them. Dreaming is not a human invention. It is the oldest program on Earth, but humans did something with it that no other creature did. They tried to write it down. In 1991, David Lewis Williams from the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg publishes a paper that turns archaeology upside down. He studies rock art, not in one place, but across the entire world. Lascaux Cave in France, 17,000 years ago. Altamira in Spain, 36,000 years ago. Caves in South Africa, 30,000 years ago. Rock paintings of indigenous peoples of North America. He notices the same thing everywhere. The same patterns: dots, spirals, zigzags, grids, concentric circles, parallel lines that seem to move and vibrate. This is not coincidence. Lewis Williams compares these patterns to what neurologists call entoptic phenomena, visual images the brain generates on its own. They appear in three states: in the moment of falling asleep, in the moment of waking, and in altered states of consciousness. In other words, at the border of sleep. People 30,000 years ago were seeing the same patterns you see in those seconds when you're almost asleep, but not quite. Those flickering geometric shapes behind closed eyelids. That is not a metaphor. That is not coincidence. It is one neural architecture, the same hallucinations across tens of thousands of years, and they painted them on walls. But Lewis Williams goes further. In caves across the world, there is a specific type of image, half human, half animal. A creature with a human body and the head of a lion, a figure with the wings of a bird, a shape that is simultaneously dancing and flying. Lewis Williams calls them therianthropes. His argument: these are not fantasy, not religious symbolism in our sense of the word. These are documentation. A person entered a cave, starving, several days without food, or in darkness, several hours in absolute blackness that by itself triggers hallucinations. A brain without external stimulation begins generating them from within. The person saw visions. They felt themselves becoming an animal, flying, passing through the rock wall into another world, and then they picked up ochre, red or yellow, and drew what they had seen. The earliest known such figure was found in Hohenstein-Stadel Cave in Germany. It is 40,000 years old. The Lion Man, a human body, the head of a cave lion, carved from a mammoth tusk. The minimum time to create this figure: 400 hours of work. Someone 40,000 years ago spent 400 hours trying to preserve what they had seen in a dream or a trance. This is the oldest known work of art, and it is a record of a dream. But here is what none of these theories explain. Why did they try to preserve it at all? Jerome Siegel from the University of California, Los Angeles in 2015 conducts a study with no parallel. He travels to the Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, the Semaine in Bolivia, to the last hunter-gatherer communities on Earth. People who live roughly the way our ancestors lived 50,000 years ago. Siegel studies their sleep, not through questionnaires, through actigraphs. motion sensors worn on the wrist, which track every phase of sleep to the minute. He finds they sleep less than us, on average 6.5 hours. They go to sleep a few hours after sunset. They wake before dawn. No trouble falling asleep, no insomnia, but here is what matters. He asked them about dreams. For the Hadza, sleep is not the brain resting, it is a journey, literally. A person who dreams leaves for another place and comes back. What they see there is real. Dead ancestors who appear in dreams are not symbols, they were there. They have no word that separates dreaming from waking as two different types of experience. For them, it is one continuous world. Just different parts of it. Now think about what this means for a person 40,000 years ago. You close your eyes, you die. From the perspective of everything you know, consciousness disappears. Then you wake up. You were somewhere. You saw people who no longer exist. You flew. You were an animal. You passed through a wall. You have no concept of neural activity during REM sleep. You have no word for hallucination. You have no explanation, but you know one thing with absolute certainty. There is a place you go every night, where the dead live, where you can become someone else, where the rules of the waking world do not apply. Everything grew from that knowledge. Every idea of an afterlife in human history begins here. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, a navigation manual for the world of dreams. The Greek underworld, a place people visited every night and returned from. The shaman who enters a trance and travels to another world, he is doing deliberately what you do accidentally every night. Every god of every religion first appeared to someone in a dream. That is not a metaphor. That is literally what happened. You know the feeling. You wake up and the dream was so real that for a few seconds you can't tell where you are. The room feels strange. Your body is heavy. Something was just happening. Something important. Enormous. And it's already leaving. You try to hold on to it and it dissolves faster than you can put it into words. In a minute, there's only the feeling. In an hour, nothing. The person in Hohenstein-Stadel cave woke up with the same feeling and picked up a mammoth tusk and started carving 400 hours because the only way not to lose it was to fix it in place, to pull it from the dissolving inner world into the outer one, to give shape to something that has no shape. Every painting, every book, every song, it is the same operation. Take something that exists only inside and make it exist outside so it doesn't dissolve. The Lion Man carved from mammoth tusk stands today in the Ulm Museum in Germany. Under glass, at 18 degrees Celsius, lit by special lamps that don't damage the material, someone 40,000 years ago saw something in a dream and did everything possible to make sure it didn't disappear. The dream is gone. The figure is not. Tonight, when you finally close your eyes, after the phone, after the thoughts that won't stop, after all of it, you will do the same thing they did. You will go somewhere. There will be people you didn't expect to see, places that don't exist, a logic that only works while you're there. You will be absolutely certain it is real until the last second. The border between that world and this one runs exactly where you are lying right now. They painted it on walls. You just close your eyes.